Hello and welcome back to another edition of Good Morning Pattaya, Pattaya Channel's very own breakfast show, where we bring you some great interviews and in part two, some of the best of the web. I'm the host Nick Pandrell, and ably assisting me as usual is
Dave Buckley from REM.
And as you can probably see, we have quite a character with us today, in the form of Dr. Penguin.
Oh, good morning, sir.
I thought Batman killed you years ago. I'm glad to see you're hale and hearty, actually.
Actually, my name has nothing to do with Batman.
Oh, really?
No, and in fact, it occurred because I had a show called The Too Much Brothers.
The Too Much Brothers.
Yes, and we were doing very, very well back in the late 70s and early 80s.
Right.
And unfortunately, my partner had an accident and lost his leg in the U.S. in an explosion just before a show. So I was suddenly... well, no more Too Much Brother, really. It was One Much Brother. So
half as much brothers.
Exactly. So I went back to, I had a house in Singapore back then.
Right.
And we had all these bookings that I had to deal with.
Yeah.
And he was in the U.S. and, you know, hospitalized and all that. And I was going back and forth. And I had to come through on these shows. Otherwise, I wouldn't have enough money to pay the doctor bills and whatever. And I had 2 weeks before the show started. So at that time, my Japanese girlfriend and I, we jumped on my motorcycle. I had a 750 Honda. And we drove to Thailand, thinking that, you know, somewhere in Thailand I'll find something, because I always loved going to Thailand back then. I spent already a lot of time here. And it was raining, it was pouring, and we were in the south somewhere. So we pulled over in a small sala, and all the boys were just sitting there drinking Mekong, and invited us for some Mekong and a bunch of insects and whatever. And I started doing some magic, and they were like, "Oh, Lenkong, Di Qua, oh, Tunun, Tunun." And then they asked me if I would do a show that evening in the local Wat. They had a big stage there for a festival. And I thought, what the heck? I've got a backpack with my stuff all in there. You know, I had a shuffle clock, top hat, and everything. It was all in the backpack. So I thought, yeah, why not? And I thought I'd make a surprise entrance coming through the rice field. And they're all covered with this huge tent. It's about 1,500 people and the stage. And the guy sees me coming through the rice field. That was my big moment, right? And it starts pouring down rain. And I'm completely soaked. And I'm kind of waddling towards the stage. And the guy says, "Oh, wait, Nok Penguin." And I thought he said Doc Penguin. Not realizing he said Nok.
Yeah.
And my Japanese girlfriend said, "Whoa, that's so cool. Doc Penguin." Literally the next day we turned around, went back to Singapore, and that started the Doc Penguin.
Really, from something as simple as that?
It was very simple.
So you misheard Thai words.
More misunderstandings lead to all kinds of great things, as you know, I always say.
Well, yeah. So how long have you been a magician?
Oh, since I was 8 years old. Actually, maybe even younger. My first trick, I think my grandfather showed me when I was 6. I didn't understand it. And then when I was 8, I was accepted at St. Paul's Cathedral Choir School, so I went off to England. And I was in it was kind of a interesting situation, because my family was in California. And so we had this uncle who looked after me. He wasn't really an uncle, he was a family friend. Somehow related to my mother's side of the family. And he was Tommy Cooper.
And the Tommy Cooper.
Tommy Cooper. And in America, nobody knew who he was.
No.
But he was great. And the thing was, he was drunk all the time.
I can believe.
He'd show up at my school, you know, to come in looking after me, and he'd say, "Oh, how's it going with Mount Baldy?" Talking about the headmaster. And we all like, "Oh, yeah." And he would do stuff and say things that would make everybody crack up. And he was interested in the fact that I was interested in magic. And so for I think it was my 9th birthday or 10th birthday, I did a show. It must have been my 10th birthday, because I was there already doing solos. And I wanted to impress him on my birthday. I invited my birthday party. He came late, and he was blotto, okay. And it was only like 1 o'clock, okay. And he's standing there like this, and I'm doing my big show. And I was really excited about it. I had this big red book of magic, and really studied it, and had this accomplice named Sean Makepeace. And the best trick was at the end. The ending, I had this cardboard box that I made, And Sean Makepeace was the biggest, fattest kid in the school. And the box is way too small for him. And I was going to make him disappear in this box. And there was a trap door in the back and I had a curtain in the front. Don't worry, because it's all part of what happened. As I put him in the box, I closed the curtain, I'm doing my magic words and everything, and boom. Sean destroys the box trying to get through and his ass is caught in the trap door. Tommy Cooper is laughing his butt off, and he said, "Forget about magic, do comedy."
Yeah.
And I was like, "But I worked so hard at the magic." He said, "No, comedy." He says, "I'm a great magician, but I sell comedy."
Yeah.
Oh, he does.
And he was right. And another time, he'd see me doing a show, and he told me I should run away from school to work on the street, to really learn how to deal with people and interact. So I did. I was gone for 2 weeks, and they found me in Lincoln doing a show in front of the cathedral. And this policeman said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "My Uncle Tommy said I should run away from school." My mother did talk to him for months. She was really angry. But it was a turning point in my career, really.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I realized I could live anywhere in the world doing shows on the street.
Right.
And
So, do you regard yourself as a comic or as a magician, or a combination of the both two, like Tony Cooper?
I think it's more like entertainer. Magician, comedian who entertains, does a lot of different things. But yeah, comedy magic, basically. That's my forte. And it's original. Everything is always original. Whatever I do, it's something that I've come up with out of real life situations or things that I've seen on the road. Even, just doing street shows. I mean, you always have situations that come up which throw you one. And that's the best improv situation that can possibly happen. So it's wonderful.
So why, I'll try and pronounce this correctly, why the pith helmet?
Well, today, as you know, it's always sunny here in Pattaya. And as I was going out the door, I realized as I was wearing my top hat that the sun had disappeared. And it was looking like rain, so I thought I'd wear my rain hat. This is a good rain hat. You can catch rain with it, like this. And you can do tricks with it. You can do all kinds of things with it.
So you've lived in a lot of places, I understand it. Just give us it's only a 15-minute show, so I'm sure we can't go into all of them, but some of the edited highlights of the places where you've spent quite a lot of time.
Well, I left school. I'd graduated at Santa Cruz, got my BA, and then I decided I was going to go around the world for 6 months.
Right.
Or just Europe. I wasn't sure. I got robbed the day before I left. I lost everything I had. I took my magic show and my ticket, and I went to London. And I didn't even have enough money to get from the airport to town, and I managed to get through it. Told the person in charge of the place where I was staying, said, "I've got money coming Western Union," and went out and did street shows. Didn't make any money. I was like, "Oh no, what's going on?" So I started watching the other street shows and started learning from them what they were doing differently. And I started doing very well, and I started traveling. I went all the way down through France to North Africa. I spent some time there. Met a bunch of crazy people with a red fire truck who were doing music and ended up creating a thing called the Magic Circus, who then ended up following me throughout Morocco because I could speak a bit of Arabic and a few languages there. And we ended up going to Italy and Germany and then overland eventually to Turkey, Afghanistan, India. Wow. We spent a lot of time in India, Sri Lanka, and then Nepal. And in Nepal, things kind of changed for me. That's where we created the Too Much Brothers. My partner and I decided to stay in Nepal, and we left the Magic Bus, and we had a TV show in New Delhi to raise money to go back to Nepal. And in Nepal, we met the king. He accidentally, basically, we walked in to a restaurant where he was eating with a bunch of friends. We did a show, and basically, in the end, we were sponsored by the royal family for quite a while. And then that led to going to Sikkim, meeting the Queen Grandmother of Bhutan, who ended up becoming our sponsor. Bhutan, Sikkim, India. And then we met Prince Bira, who brought us to Thailand. So as the Too Much Brothers, we had quite an amazing adventure. We saw a lot of things. We were doing charity shows for free in the villages. We were dressed in 16th century costumes, basically, Nepali style. We wrote songs in many languages, because we're both musical. I play a ukulele and a homemade violin. And Count Bruno played mandolin with a one-man band. And then we wrote songs in Nepali, in Thai, in Indonesian, Malay, and even Chinese. nothing in English, funny enough. And they all became hits, which was kind of cool. Yeah.
Really? So, were you doing TV in these countries?
Fairly normal
Sometimes.
existence.
Yeah, very normal.
Another everyday story of everyday folk.
No, we had a lot of fun, and we did do some TV. In Nepal, there was no TV. In Afghanistan, no TV. We did radio, and so that's where our music kicked in.
Right.
Afghanistan was interesting, though. We did magic on the radio.
I was just about to say, well, you kind of done magic on the radio. How do you do magic on the radio?
Unbelievable. We had
Just like that.
There was just like that, exactly. Huge audience in a beautiful place, actually. Staging and everything. It was very nice. And this woman saying, and now he's passing one ring through the other. Oh, wow. It's like blow by blow magic. It was very strange. Later, I kind of developed other tricks for radio, like reading people's minds, for instance, like your mind.
Yeah.
There's not a lot to it. It's an empty
Well,
book.
it should be shady.
This shouldn't take you very long.
No, I'll tell you what I'll do for you. Okay. I've got this deck of cards here, and I turned one card upside down in this deck. And you're the only person in the world that knows what it is, and you don't even know that you know that.
No, I don't know that.
So I want you to name the very first card that comes to your mind.
Seriously.
Seriously.
3 of spades.
The 3 of spades. Someone always has to do this to me. All right, I'll open up the deck. Cards, you can see them there. They're all face up. So when you see an upside down card, I want you just to go ahead, yell, scream, pull it out,
That's it.
turn it over.
No, I still got it.
It is. Gotta be. You can show it to the camera if you like.
That's
3 of spades.
Wow, that's magic.
There you go. So be careful.
That was pretty
Well, there we are then.
impressive.
I'm speechless.
Well,
I thought he was all making this up. This story all sounded far too good to be true, but I'm starting to believe you now, actually.
Well, if you really want to believe, you got any money?
No.
No cash?
No.
Darn it.
Oh, I do. Well, I do have a lot.
If you got like 100 baht note or 1,000 baht note, I can change it, make it bigger.
Oh, really?
Really, that's what I do. I make money disappear, reappear, make money change.
I make money disappear, but it's usually
Yeah,
down the bars and nightclubs of Pattaya.
That's right. Yeah. Yes. We call them bars here.
No, yes, I know
That's
those
where the
places
money
very
disappears.
well.
So, what are you doing in Pattaya?
I do a lot of charity work. I do shows up country. We have the group The Magic Circus. It meets once a year, and we tour places like Vietnam, Laos, China, Nepal, whatever. It's all charity. We do shows with kids in trouble, basically.
Is this your main base at the moment? in Pattaya?
Yes, it is, because I live on the beach and I love it.
Oh, right.
I lived in Bangkok for years, and I got tired of living in the city. And I lived in Shanghai and Singapore and Kathmandu, lots of places, Hong Kong, which I loved. But I really love it here. It's everything I want is right at my fingertips. And now we're putting together a news show. It should be interesting. There's a artist named Zani. She's a
I've heard of her, the model.
She's a wonderful model and actress, and she wants to do some magic. So we're putting together a new show with Zani and maybe Erica and a few other friends, and putting together a magic circus again. And we'll tour up in the north probably, Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai, that area. And I want to go to Burma as well. I want to go up to Mandalay this time. And we work with kids in prison, kids in orphanages, kids who are poor, kids in villages, kids, period. You know,
So, how much time do you spend working or entertaining, and how much time do you actually get off?
about, I'd say 4 months of the year I do touring. I used to do a lot more. I used to do like 8 months, 9 months a year.
Wow, that's hard work.
I'm doing a lot more television stuff now.
Yeah.
A new show in the U.S. We just signed a deal with Lorne Michaels, and
okay.
we're talking to Netflix at the moment.
Yeah, it's the Saturday Night Live guy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. With Jean Chalapan, who invented Inspector Gadget. He's the writer and producer of. It's called The Great Penguino, almost, and it's all about me being a disaster, which is like real life. You know, it's everything's
A bit like this show, actually.
Yeah, exactly. I fit right in. No problem. So when does breakfast get served?
When breakfast gets shares, the cakes are there, and we're going to have to go.
You can have a muffin, but you've got to put it back in one piece.
Where, if somebody wanted to see you in Pattaya, what is their best opportunity to go and see you?
What's the name of that bar that I always go to? No, actually, I don't perform here unless it's a charity thing or some event like that.
Right.
I'm not into performing for money per se, because I don't really need to.
Yeah.
I like what I
Do
do
it for
very
fun.
much, doing the charity work. So Facebook, Doc
check
Penguino.
out Doc Penguino. Thank
Yeah.
you very much for coming to join us. You've been
Thank you for
very
having me for breakfast.
entertaining,
Man.
and we'll be back with some more in part 2 soon.
It's bizarre.